I'm Jude Kong, the director of the Africa-Canada Artificial Intelligence and Data Innovation Consortium, otherwise called ACADEC, and an assistant professor in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics at York University. Growing up in my community, I never thought beyond my surroundings. So I grew up in a community where getting to middle school, elementary school to say, was the highest that most people attended. So everything in my life has always been, I always have a breakthrough moment that take me from one stage to another. I never think far beyond my surrounding, but there's always a breakthrough moment that pushes me to the next. The breakthrough moment took me from elementary school to middle school, which maybe I would not have gone, to high school, to university. And in all these places, I never thought far beyond. I was just doing things for doing sake, not for doing sake actually, but to go back to the community and maybe teach. At that point when I was in elementary school was to become a priest. That's why I went to high school. When I graduated from high school, still loving mathematics was just to go holidays, and it changed my dynamics. Fast forwarding that to when I graduated from university, the moment I left university on that first day, I attended a workshop. I was doing pure mathematics and computer science in the university. I attended a workshop where I saw that applying mathematics, you could apply mathematics and help in something like malaria modeling. Disease as a whole, it was an intentional workshop, had people from Europe and Canada as well. And when I learned of malaria, then that was what triggered something in my head, because I had lost a lot of people in my community, my relatives, to that malaria. And I approached the people in that workshop and I asked them if mathematics could be used to cure malaria, could be used to fight malaria. And they were very open and explained to me how that could be done. And one of them then told me, that was another breakthrough moment, oh, there's this scholarship, maybe you want to apply for this. You sound really smart and curious about this. And that's how I moved from what I was doing at my undergrad to apply mathematics, and where I went to. Fast forwarding that, looking at mathematical biology, moving from what I was doing at my undergrad, which was mathematics and computer science, to mathematical biology. Fast forwarding that to my PhD at the University of Alberta. When I started my PhD in mathematical biology, at that point, which is applied mathematics, at that time, again, I was not thinking far beyond. Within my head, at that point, everything has always been learn the tools that are required to fight malaria and go back and fight, just learn the tools to fight the disease. And in the department, the graduate program director at that time, I don't know how he thought about this, but it seems he has looked at the data. I give him that. Great job, great guy. He looked at the data and realized that more than close to 90% of the graduate PhDs, even though in the department they had indicated academia was a career for them, but most of them end up in data science jobs. And so I give it to him again, work with the department and the faculty to introduce a data science certificate to all PhD students that wanted to take it. So which means that you had to take some courses and they end up with a data science certificate. At that point, to me, it's always about, well, I don't lose anything by doing this, so long as when I see anything, I'm just doing it. Again, I didn't know what I had to do with it. I was just doing my PhD for that. And then they brought in it. I was like, okay, if there's an extra certificate and I will get it, why not? And then I did it. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Looking at it these days, going back, that was the best decision. And I always tell Thomas Hillen, the graduate program director at that time, who's a mathematical biologist actually, I always tell him that was the best thing you ever did. That changed me. It has changed my strategy completely. But within that time, when I was doing that, I didn't think actually far beyond my surroundings. It was about getting another certificate. Just to answer your question, why did I get into data science? I never, ever throughout my life thought far beyond. I never had mentors that guide me, do this, and this will get you here. Do this, and this will get you here. From the onset, things just happened. I never think far away. As I'm moving in one step, the next thing happened. And this may not be the best strategy, but because I didn't have mentors growing up and moving to Canada here, I didn't have those mentors, right? When you grow up and you don't have people that put you down to talk to you about this. You don't know what to do next. So you just do things, you just do things, you just do things. And that's how I got into data science, not thinking far beyond my surroundings. I am the director of the Africa-Canada Artificial Intelligence and Data Innovation Consortium, where I work with governments in 9 African countries, ensuring that I put data into action, meaning that I use the data they are collecting, locally relevant data, to inform policies, to help them to inform policies, visualize the data, and be able to point out, to disaggregate the data and point out the dynamics to them and help them inform different policies when it comes to disease and policies around the countries, in these 9 African countries. So my day-to-day life, given the additional tasks as the director of the Africa-Canada Artificial Intelligence, is much more than you may find with my colleagues, some of my colleagues, not all, but some of them. So when I get up in the morning, I jump from having meetings with governments in Africa and my colleagues in Africa to teaching. When I'm leaving the classroom, I jump into meetings with my students that I teach, the normal courses that I'm teaching. And when I'm jumping from meetings with the students that I'm teaching, I jump into meetings with my researchers, like my postdoc, my undergrad student that are doing research in my lab. I jump into meetings with them. When I'm leaving that, I jump to either grading or students sending me emails to respond, or jump to meetings with my other colleagues in the university. When I'm jumping from there, I'm thinking about a grant. I'm trying to work on writing a grant, or I'm jumping into writing a paper, or I'm jumping into reviewing a paper for a journal, or reviewing my postdoc, my undergrad or my grad student paper, or trying to teach my undergrad student on certain things, or I'm jumping into doing outreach, which is something I'm so passionate about. That gives me a lot of energy to ensure that I go into communities that are like mine. Growing up, not thinking about middle school, my level was elementary. That's where more than 95% of people in my community when I was growing up grew up not thinking about middle school before high school, but just thinking within elementary school. Now, maybe here people will be thinking about high school, but what I do is that I ensure that I go to those schools every week, and I give them, or be able to present things to them in a way that if I had somebody present to me, I would have think far beyond my surrounding. So I try to get them to think far beyond their surrounding, to think differently. And that's something I'm passionate about. So that takes into account, I do that all the time. And when I go to these schools every week and I talk to these kids, to talk to them about STEM program as a whole, they ask me questions, they get passionate, and some of them reach out to me after in the schools. And so I equally jump into responding to those emails in addition to doing the outreach and talking to them just to keep them motivated. So in summary, those are some of the things I do in addition to other university roles that I have to play, sitting in committees and doing other things that I have to do on a daily basis. The reason why I think that the first best time to, if you are a biologist, an ecologist, think about, or just an ecologist, not even think about data science, the best time to decide to take data science, if you have the opportunity, is yesterday. The second best time is today. Do not think twice. Why am I saying this? Because I was more with the flow. How did I get to enjoy and collaborate more with biologists? When I was taking this data science program, there was a course which I took where, as a data scientist, come from mathematics, I had to work with biologists at the University of Alberta. And by interacting with them, I created a network that continues up to now. And I still work as data scientist, advising these colleagues who are already professors as well in other universities. And this only happened because I had those skill sets and I could be able to work with and collaborate with them. Not living from them. Be it here in the university, I'm able to work with communities. I go to community health centers, and I'm able to take their data and help them to visualize the data for them, as well as doing my research. Now, when it comes to grant writing, the fact that I have those skill sets and I can analyze that data and I have history to show helps the grantees to see that a lot of us scientists have actually been doing science for ourselves, talking to ourselves, and not to the communities that need the work. We have most of the time write our papers, theoretical papers, without doing it for the communities. But if you are able to speak to the community and the community understand you, and you co-design everything with the community, you create all those things because you understand how to take their data and make their data speak in a way that for them to see actually what is happening. When you visualize and show it to them, they feel happy and they work with you and they're able to see what is happening. where everything's going to. And once you work with this community, you can build a lot of models or other things that can help this community. So as a biologist, if you really care about the science to help the communities that may have helped you, I rely on the community a lot. Without the community, I would not be where I am. I was going to school at some point. I didn't have electricity, right? I was using a lamp. And the community used to give me kerosene, which was not easy to get. I could go and knock at any door in the community and get that kerosene. Not everybody would do that, right? The community has given you a lot. Taxpayers pay for your school, for our schools, right? The community push you. And to me, being a biologist was to go back and help that community. And if you think about doing your research to help community, you want the community to understand your language. If you're speaking a different language, it becomes so difficult. Once you are able to take that data and give meaning to the data, transform the data from just being numbers into something that somebody in the community can understand, that would really be great. And you can work with the communities very well. That could help you in some of your grants. That could help your community. So it's something, if you think in that direction, please get into data science. You'll be able to do that for your community. If you're thinking just talking with your other colleagues, you're in biology, you want to talk to your colleagues in social science, because human dynamics is taken. We're in a community where everything is linked. Human dynamics is coming into play when we're doing our work, be it you're going to field work or other things, theoretical work, you're a theoretical biologist. You need to be able to understand how the work you do affect the community and all one, and you want to work with your community, with your colleagues that work with communities and all one, or maybe from social sciences, in order for them to understand you, being able to take the data that they collect from their fieldwork into giving meaning to the data is something that will help bind that collaboration. And so if you think about that, even from the point of view of collaborating in that direction, that may motivate you to work with them. Again, you're just moving from being a biologist or ecologist to working with social scientists in your university, or be able to speak in a language that mathematicians or other people in your engineers and other people in your community will understand you, or the government. If you're doing your work for policy, you want to ensure that your work is informing policies. The best way to be able to communicate that is, well, you are able to simulate data from your work or collect data from the field. You want to visualize, you want to analyze that data, visualize, and be able to explain, transfer that to layman's term in a way that a policymaker will understand the implication of what you're doing. At times we go on blaming people, but we need to learn how to communicate our work. And so to me, getting those skill sets are very essential in collaboration, in writing your grants, and in ensuring that your science is put to use to your community and to your country. Which I had mentors that had pointed me to the right courses to pick. Like I told you, when I decided to do a certificate in data science, at that time when I was doing my PhD in mathematical biology, I didn't know which courses would be very relevant or what would be very useful. I was doing it for the certificate, not because I knew what I wanted to do with it at that point. I never had somebody put me down and tell me, guide that, because of where I grew up, my community, things have always happened that way. And so if I had known exactly which are the courses, you look at it, okay, if I'm going to get a data science certificate, which are the courses that will land me a job in the industry, if in case I end up being around the 95% of PhD students that wish to end up in academia, but because of the limited spaces available, we end up not going to academia and we pick a job in the industry. If that end up being the case, what do I need to learn that can help me survive there? Now, if I have to end up in academia and use it, what do I need to learn that can help me survive in academia? If I had known all of these things, again, I was the first batch that started a certificate at University of Alberta. But even if I had started now, given where I was coming from at that time, my mindset, I would not have been able to start reaching out to other people because I didn't know that was how things could be done. I would not have thought that way. But if you're thinking of doing it right now, you ask me, what would I have done differently at this point, given where I stand right now, or what I tell students being in the middle of the fourth industrial revolution, doing the importance is that if you are doing your PhD and you have the opportunity to pick data science courses or to get yourself into data science, it will be important to pick some of the courses that can help you in case you end up in the industry, which means that you work on project, because it's very important that you have something to show on your LinkedIn profile or somewhere that you have worked on this tangible project. Develop something that the industry will need. If you look at data science fellow, what they succeed in what they're doing is that they take you and they give you a project to work on so that you can now use that project to sell your talent to the people that come to hire you. And that's why they take 6 weeks to hire most PhD holders, right? If you were in university and you have known that most people hiring want to see what you can do, you will have picked the courses, pick some of them in the university that have projects attached to them, and then you do that with a project. You have that already written down before you ever graduate. That will help you a lot when you are hunting for a job, or even on your LinkedIn profile, you get them reaching out to you. You don't have to hunt for that job. So I wish I had known some of those things in that sense. Now, you look at academia, some of the courses that can help you. What do I need to visualize data? What do I need to communicate with a website to get to script data from the website? What do I need to understand text, people communication text? How do I read that? Some of those courses that could have helped me to do that. Maybe I will have done a lot of APIs. Maybe I will have done a lot of natural language processing. How do I script data from? So those are courses I will have directed. Maybe some of them I will have picked a lot of those. I did pick some, but not as much as I would have if I was strategic. They were actually being strategic and thinking far beyond. Maybe I would have done database management and not after I finished, because I did a lot of SQL, but after. But if I was in school, I would have picked courses that led me to database management, right? But database management system, sorry. But I did not look into that because I was not thinking far beyond my surroundings. Mine was just to get a certificate. So I wish I had known about picking the right courses that can either end me in the industry as well as can be very useful in academia if I succeed to get a job in academia. I'm not saying that people should completely wipe out academia if you're doing biology, but be open to, you can still do research in the industry, in the government, using the skill set that you acquire, and you'll be way better because you're in management. You're great being able to manage things. Project management is something you learn throughout your life. You have 5 years experience or more in project management. You are able to think out of the box and create ideas, which is a lot of people may not have. So there's so much you have which you can fit in the industry and fit in academia. So by picking those courses that can put you in good direction, to me, they will place you well in the job market, and you will be able to deliver for the country, deliver for your community, and deliver for yourself when you deliver for these people, because it makes you so happy. So yes, I missed a lot of courses that I could have taken, but that gradually I do find the time to catch up with some of those courses because of the passion I have for data science, and because of how relevant I've seen data science. I've been able to use it to help government in 9 African countries to manage and contain COVID-19. And without the data science skills, I would not have been able to do that. I was going to data science, I was going to modeling for malaria, and this was going to be, I was thinking about my community, Shish, a very small village where I grew up, very, very small village. And this village has around 1,000 people or so. But throughout my career, I am now delivering for 9 African countries and more are to join, fighting not just malaria, fighting COVID and going to other diseases. So I have gone beyond what I've dreamt, what I thought I was getting to modeling for, to something bigger, because I was able to acquire these data science skills, which I couldn't get there.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. I really like your mentioning of like tangible skills and trying to build a portfolio. I think that's super helpful. And I also like that you put in how you're trying to help people. And I think a lot of the time when people are worried about transferring, they just think of data science as a place to make money, like a sellout, you know what I mean? Like not actually trying to make a difference in the world. But I think you can certainly make a difference in data science, and you're a living proof that that's the case. So I think that's great.
Yeah, and money follows. So basically, money always follows when you move, when you look at things from the positive point. How do you change your community? Money follows. Yes, believe me or not, as a professor, I cannot compare to some of my colleagues' salary, right? But as a professor in the nearby future, I will be able to compare, because if I'm able to put that data science skills and I'm of value to my university, see money following. So it's not all the time that when you go to the industry, you make much more than academia. No, there are research chair positions, other things that come in and add to your salary in the university. And it depends on how relevant you are, how much grants you're able to bring to the university, how many students you're able to train, how you're able to help the community and help the university. The fact that you learn data science, people from other departments who want to get with you on one grant. You co-applicant with them. You are attracting money to university. You will not only supervise students from your department. The quantitative skill set that you have is something in high demand, and all faculties, business, everywhere, everybody needs them. In my lab, I get students from all over the university. That's a valuable tool. So with those, if you are value to your university, your salary will go up. Yes, your colleagues will start at a high level, but believe me, in a few years, you beat them. If you want to think about money at the same time you're serving your community. That you will not make, you make much money from the industry. Yes, my colleague started from Silicon Valley, more than double my salary, but I can assure you in a few years, I will be more than double theirs.